Hi yogi friends, Cathy here. Today's practice is going to work on balance and pelvic floor strength and overall body strength. So let's hop right into practice. We're going to begin standing today, doing our warm-ups on our feet. So let's start by lifting the hands up overhead, lifting tall through the spine. The tailbone is pointed toward the floor and the crown is lifting toward the ceiling. So we're feeling some lengthening through the spine here. And then let's press the hands down toward our sides and then turn the palms so that we can press up toward the ceiling. So we're using some engagement in the arms and resistance here. And then press down again and press up again. And once we get to the top here, let's clasp the hands, turn the palms to face the ceiling and stretch up. Again, stretching tall through the spine and allowing the shoulders to relax away from the ears, keeping that tailbone pointed toward the floor. Gently release the hands and we're going to twist to one side and just bring the arms down in front and in behind. And then we're going to lift back up. So we're windmilling the arms and then we'll twist to the opposite side. So continue to lift the arms up as you face the center. And as you twist, bring one arm down in front of the body, one behind. And use that engagement again of the arms as you lift and as you lower. Just some resistance that we can create by really engaging all the muscles in the arms, and also engagement that we can create by really lengthening out through the fingertips, opening the hands nice and wide as we windmill the arms. Let's come back to center now and lower the arms all the way down. As you lower the arms, bring the chin toward the chest. Feel that opening in the back of the shoulders, in the back of the neck. And rock one ear over to one side and just feel that opening in the side of the neck. Dropping the chin back to the chest, rocking over to the other side. Being very gentle with the neck here. Lots of vertebra, lots of muscles. There's a lot to be protective of in the neck. So as you rock from side to side, one ear to one shoulder, chin to chest, ear to other shoulder, do it with a slow and mindful pace so that you can be protective of all those tissues, muscles, and bones within your neck. And just continue to rock back and forth a few times, feeling the opening in the neck with each rotation, each rocking. And then when you've evened things out, we'll bring the chin back to the chest. And then we'll lift the nose toward the ceiling, but lengthen out through the back of the head. We don't want to crunch in the back of the neck. We want to lengthen out through the top of the head as we look toward the ceiling. And we'll bring the chin back to the chest. Lifting up toward the ceiling and bringing chin to chest. Lifting nose towards ceiling, bringing chin to chest. Once more toward the ceiling, and then we'll bring the face back to a neutral position. From here, let's bring the hands to the hips. We're going to press the pelvis forward, and then we're going to press the pelvis back and bend the torso forward. And then just continue to move pelvis forward and pelvis back as you tilt the torso forward and back. And notice how you'll need to engage the legs and engage the core to keep you steady in this movement. As you bend forward, you might also take a look at your feet. Make sure they're right beneath the hips. If they're not, you can go ahead and take a moment to adjust. Get those feet right below the hips. And then come back to center. Press the hips off to one side. Come to center, press off to the other side. Come to center. And we'll continue this side to side movement with the hips. Just feel that opening in the side. Come to center. Now we're going to marry those movements all together. We'll press the hips forward first, out to one side, and bring the hips back and press out to the other side. So now we're circling the hips. The key here is you want to be able to rock a bit on the feet so that you're able to keep the knees from twisting. So just notice how you'll be moving the weight between the 2 feet. If it feels good here to widen the feet just a bit to steady your stance, go ahead and do that. And keep the pace of this rotation of the hips at whatever is comfortable for you. And the next time that the hips are out in front, we're going to reverse the direction of our circles. So taking the hips around the other way, and just notice if you feel any sensations, any differences when rotating in this direction. Keeping the navel drawn in throughout this move will help to support the low back as well. Let's do 2 more circles in this direction. And when the hips are back out in front, we'll come back up to neutral. Let's take our legs, placing the feet again directly below the hips. Pressing firmly into one foot, we're going to swing the opposite leg. Now you may be swinging low to keep the balance. If you want to lift the leg a little higher, try that. And if that takes you off balance, go ahead and bring it back down a little lower. You can also extend the arms out on either side, and that may help keep the balance also. And we're swinging from the hip right now, just warming up the legs a little bit. Next time that the leg is out in front, we're going to kick from the knee, just kicking the foot forward, bending at the knee. And then next time your foot is forward, we're going to make some ankle circles. And you can lower the leg a little bit or leave it a little higher, whatever's most comfortable. And then turn the ankle circles the other direction. I find I make movements with my hands sometimes when I'm doing this if they're not on my hips. Let's lower that leg down and go ahead and shake both legs out. Give them a good shake. And then we'll take the opposite leg, really grounding into that standing leg. Bring the hands to the hips or out to the side, whatever helps you stay most balanced. And begin to swing that leg forward and back from the hip at whatever height is most comfortable and allows you to stay in balance. And again, if it helps to have the hands out on either side to keep the balance, go ahead and do that. It's your practice. Do what your body needs today. Next time the foot is out in front, I'm going to get my balance here. We'll kick from the knee. Feeling that little bit of warming up around the knee joint. And then the next time the foot is forward, let's make those ankle circles one direction. And then we'll go in the opposite direction. Now, the whole body should be warmed up a bit. Let's raise the arms up high and make goalpost arms. One more bit of warm up here, bending the elbows at 90 degrees, pressing the hands and the elbows back just a little bit so the shoulder blades pinch together a bit. And then we feel that opening in the front of the chest. Then bring the hands and the elbows back in line with the shoulders. Lift up tall again and take a forward fold here. And just let the head hang. You might shake it a little, one direction and then the other. Just feel the blood flow to the head. Give the knees as much bend as feels comfortable. We don't need to lock out the knees here. And then we'll take a roll up to mountain, raising the arms up high overhead once more, and then bringing the hands to prayer position. Let's take a moment here to lift the hands out in front of us. And we're going to keep the hips and the knees directly facing forward. And then we're going to twist the torso to one side with an imaginary block between our hands, keeping the shoulder blades, or rather the shoulders, plugged into the sockets. And remember, we're keeping the knees and the hips facing forward, only twisting from the midsection here. Holding in that position, drawing the navel in, drawing the crown up tall. Coming back to center now. And then we'll take that twist of the torso to the opposite side again, keeping the shoulders plugged into the sockets, keeping the knees and the hips facing forward. Keeping that imaginary block between the hands. Lifting tall in the spine, drawing the navel in toward the spine. Let's come back to center, lower the arms down, bring the hands up together, clasping at the top in a steeple grip like this with the pointer fingers together, thumbs right together. Lift tall, shoulders down away from the ears, pressing into the feet, draw the navel in, and then we'll lift up and over as we press the hips out to one side. So feel that opening in the side body and just hold here for a moment. A little bend in the knees. We don't want to lock out the joints at any point. Coming back to center, take a deep breath in, lifting tall, and on the exhale, we lift up and over, pressing the hips out to the opposite side. And you might notice one side of the body feels a lot more open than the other, which is perfectly normal. Let's come back to center again and lower the arms down. Now let's come into a tabletop position. So make your way to the floor on the hands and knees. Spider grips with the hands, pressing into the fingertips. The base of the palms are right beneath the elbows, elbows right beneath the shoulders. We're lengthening out through the crown of the head and the tailbone and drawing the navel toward the spine. Knees are directly beneath the hips, and the feet are directly behind the knees. Go ahead and drop the belly in your cow position as you raise the crown and the tail toward the ceiling. And then press into the base of the palms, the knees, and the tops of the feet as we curve the spine toward the ceiling and draw the navel up toward the spine. Inhaling, dropping the belly. And exhaling, curving the spine up. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, curving spine to ceiling. Inhaling, we drop the belly. And exhaling, curving the spine to the ceiling. Let's do one more full round, dropping the belly on the inhale. And exhaling, curving the spine. And then we'll come back to a neutral position. And you might want to move the palms of the hands forward by about one palm's length. Curl the toes under. We're going to come up into a downward facing dog. And let's pedal the feet a little bit. Pressing one heel into the mat as you bend the opposite knee. And then changing, bending the other leg as you straighten the opposite leg. You can hold in that position for a moment if you like, or you can just continuously pedal the feet. Take notice of the hands. We want that spider grip. We want the biceps to be on either side of the ears, lengthening the crown toward the front edge of the mat. Go ahead and bring the feet to stillness if they aren't already. We're working to press the heels toward the mat. We're not worried about whether they get there or not. We're just pressing them in that direction. And then allow, when that crown reaches toward the front edge of the mat, allow the shoulder blades to sink down the back a bit. So that gets a nice amount of space between the shoulders and the ears. From here, we're going to walk forward into our forward fold, bending the knees as much as needed, Allow the torso to relax right down onto the thighs if you like. Take a little sway here. Feel that blood rush toward the head. Feel the length in the backs of the legs. Feel the compression in the fronts of the hips. And then let's rise up tall to our mountain pose. And really draw the navel in here. Lift up by pressing into the feet, engaging the thighs, lifting through the crown. Take a little bit of a back bend here. Just a little one. And then we'll dive forward into our forward fold once again. And then we'll rise up into a halfway lift. And you can lift up so that your body looks like the number 7, or you can keep the hands on the thighs, the shins, the tops of the feet, the floor in front of you, whatever works best for your body. We just want to work toward having a flat back here. And fold all the way forward again. And then rise up tall to your mountain. Let's take that little back bend once more. And then we'll lower hands down, bringing the hands to prayer position. Go ahead and close the eyes for just a moment, noticing any sensations in the body, noticing the beating of the heart, and noticing the pacing and depth of each inhale and exhale. From here, let's step to the wide edge of our mat, bringing the legs wide. We're going to turn the right toes out so that they're pointing toward the short edge of the mat. We're going to come into a warrior 2 here. So you may want to walk the back foot, heel toe it back just a little bit. So making sure that the toes in back are turned in just a bit, because then you can really feel all the weight of this back leg in that outer edge of the foot. That's where we want that weight to go. If it's coming in toward the inside, it puts a lot of pressure on your knee. So really focus on keeping weight in that outer edge. Let's go ahead and bend the front knee over the front ankle, coming as close to that as you can reasonably without any pain. We just want to work toward that. Lengthening the arms out from the shoulders. Tailbone is pointed again toward the floor, and the crown of the head is pointed toward the ceiling. So you can really feel taking up a lot of space here. Your body is very extended out through the fingertips, out through the head, out through the feet. Feel your strength. Notice you want to have a straight line from head down through the middle, all the way down into the pelvis. We want to have a straight line from tailbone to crown of the head, keeping this knee right over this front ankle. We don't want it coming in. We don't want it rocking out. It should be right in the center, almost as if it were going to go out over those middle toes. Now we're going to take a side angle. So bend this front arm so that the forearm can rest right above the kneecap, and we'll bring this back arm up over the shoulder. We really want to be able to open or lift rather this front arm. We don't want to be just crushing our weight down into there. So a little bit of weight on it is fine, but we don't want it to be holding all of our weight. So again, we want a straight line from the tailbone to the crown of the head. If it feels good in your body to bring the arm over so the bicep is near the ear, you can do that. If there's a lot of tension in the neck, you may want to leave the arm upright. And then let's come back to our warrior 2. Straighten that front leg now, coming into a reverse warrior. We'll lift the front arm up over the shoulder, allow this back arm to come down and just rest on the thigh. And then we'll bring the hands back to that warrior 2 position and go ahead and lower. And then let's switch sides. Turning the left foot out. Right foot is turned in just slightly. The heel of this front leg, we want to be in a nice straight line with the arch of the back foot. Lifting the arms up to shoulder height, bending the knee right over the ankle. Again, we want it to be right above the ankle. We don't want it rocking in or out. feel yourself again taking up a lot of space here, lengthening out through the fingertips, out through the feet, out through the crown of the head. Straight line right down the middle from crown to heart to pelvis. Remembering to breathe here and really feel your strength. This is a full body pose. You're really using the strength of the whole body here. Let's bend that front arm so the forearm comes to rest right above the kneecap. Lengthen out through the crown of the head. Sometimes the head wants to fall toward the floor here. We want it to extend out from the spine. And lengthen this back arm up over the shoulder, or if it feels good for your body, you can bring it over toward the ear, bicep toward the ear. If you do, think of having a diagonal line from the heel of your foot all the way out through your fingertips. And you may find that this is comfortable to have the arm in this position on one side of the body and not on the other. That's okay. Let's come back to our warrior two. Straighten that front leg. Front arm lifts over the shoulder. Back arm rests down on the thigh. Catching your breath here. Lowering the arms back down to the shoulder height and then all the way down. And let's come to bring the feet now a little bit closer. Bring the heels in, toes out. We're going to bring the hands to prayer position. And we want the knees to track over the toes. So the hips are really turned out here. If the hips are tight, this may be a difficult move and you may not bend very far because we don't want to push the booty out behind us. We want to keep a tall spine again. So if that means you bend just a tiny bit and you really feel this opening in the hips, then you just stay right here. If you can come down further, go ahead and do so. And hold wherever you can. Keeping a tall spine, feeling that strength in the legs, really feeling the strength from the knees all the way up into the glutes. And then let's press back up. Take the arms up into a star pose here. Again, taking up a lot of space, feeling your energy, emitting from throughout these points in the body, the head, the hands, the feet. Bring the hands back to prayer position. And we're going to take a chair now. So let's come to the short edge of our mat. Stand tall first. To begin, we're just going to bow forward a bit, pressing the bum backwards. Not even bending the knees yet, just bending forward into a bow, drawing the navel toward the spine, opening in the chest and shoulders, and lengthening through the crown of the head. So we have a flat back. Now, when you get to a certain point, the knees are going to bend. Continue to press the sits bones back behind you as you come into this chair and keep that navel engaged. And just hold here. You can also rise up about an inch and lower about an inch. This is going to give you a little more intensity. You can think of pressing the heels away from each other to open up in the sits bones a bit. And then finally we'll stand up nice and tall, giving the legs a shake after we've given them a bit of a workout here. And then let's come into a low squat, coming back to the wide edge of our mat. And this is a place where you may want to have a block or something else that could be a support for the hips as you come down into this low squat, especially if the hips are tight. This is, you could even bring 2 blocks in, because if this is a new pose for you, it may require a little extra support. So bring the hands to prayer position. The feet are open so that the heels are closer to each other than the toes. Toes are opened out. And again, we're going to track over the toes. And as you begin to come down, you may feel the need to move the feet a bit. So adjust as needed. We'll keep a tall spine here as much as possible, and we just continue to lower down. And if you've got blocks beneath you, just come and rest the sits bones right on the blocks. And then you'll still feel this opening in the hips. So there's no need to feel like you have to come into this position without support, because you're still getting a lot of opening here. If you choose to not use blocks, and that feels okay for your body, bring the elbows, if you can, either on top of the knees or inside the knees, and you can press the knees away from the body with the elbows. Again, we want to work to keep a tall spine as much as possible, at least a flat back and a straight line from the crown of the head to the tailbone. From here, let's use the hands, or sometimes I have folks use a block to give them a little bit of extra support on the way down, if that helps you to do so. Go right ahead. You can move your blocks off to the side. And we're going to go ahead and roll down onto our backs. And you can take a little roll on the spine if you like, just to get a little bit of a massage along the muscles of the spine. And sometimes people find this just to be a fun way to get all the way down to the floor. Go ahead here and bring the knees toward the chest and give it a little rock from side to side. Feel that bit of massaging on the upper hips and the low back. And then we're going to take a moment to roll over onto our tummies. I'm actually going to come to this edge of the mat. So roll over onto your belly, get situated. You can take a moment to rest the forehead down on the hands. Take a breather here for a second. We've done quite a bit of active work. Take a bit of a rest. And then let's bring the legs together. Big toes are touching each other. The insides of the legs are touching. We're going to bring the hands back so that they rest with the palms facing the sky and the arms are beside the torso. And from here, we're going to engage the glutes, the pelvic floor, the backs and insides of the thighs, and lift the legs up off of our mat, pressing into the pubic bone. Then we can clasp the hands behind the bum, interlacing the fingers, and we will lengthen the knuckles toward the feet. Engage the muscles of the upper back and raise the forehead up off of your mat, using those muscles of the upper back. And then we'll slowly lower everything down and bring those hands to rest beneath the forehead again. Let the legs fall open so that the heels are wider than the toes. The toes are turned in, the heels are open wide. And let everything go here for just a moment. All right, from here we're going to roll onto our backs again. And we're going to lengthen the left leg out in front of the hip so that the heel is resting on your mat. Go ahead and bring the right knee toward the chest. Give it a bit of a squeeze. And then bring the right toes right behind the left kneecap. They're almost hooked behind there. Open the arms out to either side of the body And let that right knee come across the body and toward the left-hand side of the room. You may take the left hand and just rest it on the outside of the left thigh. And just the gravity pulling the hand into the thigh will just intensify this opening in the right hip just a bit. We don't want to be pressing hard on the leg. We just want to rest the hand there. And that's quite enough. If this is at all aggravating for the low back, you can go ahead and remove the toes from behind the knee. Bring that right foot in front of the knee, and you can even press the sole of the foot down toward the bottom of the mat a little bit. You'll notice a change in the sensation in the stretch here along the hip, and it will also open up the low back just a little bit in case there's any sort of tightness or pinching feeling in the low back here. We do want to work to keep this right shoulder and shoulder blade down on the mat. Keep them resting there. Go ahead and close the eyes if that feels comfortable, and really feel the sensations throughout your body, from the feet all the way up the legs, through the twist in the torso, right out the neck. Speaking of the neck, if you would like to continue this twist into the neck, you can turn the head so that the nose is facing the outstretched right hand. And that may or may not feel good on the neck. So if it doesn't, just go ahead and turn the face so that the nose is facing toward the ceiling again. Really relaxing into this pose here. And let's gently roll over onto our backs, bringing the face toward the ceiling once again. Slow and gentle movements here. Let's lengthen the right leg out so that the heel rests on the mat. Bringing the left knee up toward the chest. Give it a bit of a squeeze. And then we'll bring those left toes right behind the right knee. Allow that right knee to fall over toward this is the left knee we're working on now. The left toes are resting behind the right knee, and the left knee is rocking over toward the right-hand side of the room. Let's get the cueing right for you. Extend that left arm out from the left shoulder. If it feels good for the neck and you want to, turn the face toward the outstretched left hand. And again, let this right hand just rest outside the right thigh. It doesn't have to be pulling down. It can be just resting there. And again, if this is at all pinchy in the low back and you need to move the foot so that it can press down in front of the right knee toward the bottom of your mat, go ahead and do that. It's your practice. You need to customize it to your needs. We do want to work to keep this left shoulder on the mat. And again, I encourage you to close the eyes here. Feeling the sensations in the body. Noticing if that right leg is gripping in any area. Right now, the right leg needs to be completely just loose and relaxed. So I found that mine was holding in one spot. So just wanted to mention that to you. The left leg, likewise, is really just not doing a lot here. It's sort of hanging out in this twist also. Take one more full breath cycle here. Roll over onto the back once more. And bring the knees so that they're pointing toward the ceiling. Soles of the feet are resting on your mat. And we're going to open the knees wide and bring the soles of the feet to touch one another. Supta Baddha Konasana here. You can bring the hands to rest on the belly if you like, or on either side of the body with palms facing the sky. If this is a little much on the hips or the knees, bring some blocks or some folded up blankets beneath the knees. That can also feel good. And we can provide a little opening in the low back by making the L shape with our hands between the fingers and the pointer finger and the thumb, and then placing the hands right at the hip creases so that the thumb is resting on the back of that upper thigh. The fingers are resting right inside that groin area, the front of the groin, base of the pelvis, and take the hands now and press down against the thighs and the hip creases. Just pressing down, you'll notice you feel some opening in the low back there. And you can continue to hold this if it feels good. And if not, go ahead and release it. Holding it just as long as you like. And then releasing the hands. Go ahead and bring the knees back up to point toward the ceiling. We're going to bend the knees, or bring the knees toward the chest. And then we're going to open the knees wide. And we can either grab the shins, the ankles. We might even grab the big toe with the pointer finger and the middle finger and come into a happy baby. So lengthen the tailbone toward the front of your mat. We don't want to curve the spine up and tilt the pelvis up toward the ceiling. We want to keep the pelvis flat on our backs, the back of the pelvis, and point that tailbone toward the short edge of your mat, the bottom part of your mat. And really opening the knees wide, opening the feet wide here. If it feels good to rock a little side to side, go ahead and do that. This is your happy baby, so you need to be happy with it. Feel that opening in the groin, the backs of the thighs. And when you feel finished with your happy baby, release the feet gently. Go ahead and lengthen the legs right out in front. Coming into our Shavasana here, our final resting pose. We're going to take a good 5 minutes here. I encourage you to take this 5 minutes for yourself. This is the pose that allows your body to soak up all the benefits of the other poses that you have done. So I will keep track of the time. I will let you know when to come back to full awareness. Your only job is to be and breathe for the next 5 minutes, letting any thoughts that come through the mind pass on through without any need to handle them, without any judgment or attachment. Just be and breathe. So go ahead now and begin to bring a bit of movement to the feet and the hands. You might want to make some circles with the ankles and the wrists, or rock them from side to side. You may want to rock the hips a bit from side to side. I like to take a big full body stretch as if I'm reawakening here. Go ahead and take a turn over onto one side of the body, pillowing your head with your arm and bending the knees slightly into a gentle and loose fetal position. Take a full breath cycle here. And then use the hands to press you back up to seated. Go ahead and keep the eyes closed just as long as you can. Coming into your Sukhasana, your easy seat. And just notice how it feels to sit in this position. Legs crossed, spine erect. Notice the strength and length of your spine. Notice the warmth and the weight of your hands resting on your legs. Notice any other sensations in your body. Notice your breathing pattern, maybe even noticing your pulse. And begin to notice the sounds in the room or the building around you, or even outside if you can hear any noises outside. Notice the feeling of your clothing against your skin, the temperature of the air in this room. And then go ahead and bring the hands together at prayer position at the heart. Take a big full belly inhale, and we'll chant Om together on the exhale. Let's bring our hands so that the thumbs rest at the forehead. May we have peace in our thoughts. Bringing thumbs to rest at the lips. May we have peace in our words. And finally, thumbs resting at the heart space. May we have peace in our hearts. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. I bow as I say Namaste. Thank you so much for being here to practice with me today. I certainly hope that this has been a good practice for you and that it's brought some peace and tranquility and calm into your day, and that you can now take those things with you and introduce them into whatever space that you enter during the rest of your day. Can't wait to practice with you here again. And if you would like to receive notifications and be aware of when new videos are posted, go ahead and subscribe and click that bell to get notifications each time a new video is posted for you to practice. Namaste.